Hello, magical people. My name is Lumenyxx, and I would like to thank you so much for being here with me today. In this video, we are going to talk about the wolf moon, which is the full moon coming up at the end of this week on January 25th. I'll start by going over some sort of general information about the full moon, and then we will look at some more specific astrological and numerological aspects of this full moon in particular. Then, of course, we will be going into some readings, which will be a pick a card tarot reading, and the theme for this will just be messages for you at this time during this wolf full moon. And at the very end, I'll also be having just one last segment that is just going to be a little bit of a personal update on some things that I've had going around here at the house. So, to start off, let's talk a little bit about full moons in general. So first of all, what is a full moon? Well, a full moon occurs when the moon and the sun are in opposition, which simply means that they are in opposite sections of the sky. So what this means is that when we have a full moon, then since our sun is currently in the sign of Aquarius, that means that our moon is directly opposite that on the zodiac and is in the sign of Leo. Oppositions can hold a lot of tension, but they can also provide opportunities for self-awareness, clarity, and bringing light to that which usually remains in the shadows. This lunation is kind of the apex of the lunar cycle, starting with the new moon, then going to the full moon, which is the apex of the energy, and then the energy sort of receding as we near the following new moon. Full moons are a great time to manifest and to grow the seeds of the intentions that we germinated during our new moon just a couple of weeks back. So now let's just go ahead and dive right into some of the major astrological themes that I saw while doing my research for this video. And as an initial disclaimer, I am not an astrologer. Generally, I tend to think of astrology as kind of a subtle energy. I imagine it as a song that the universe is softly singing at that time. I can choose to hum along and try and be in more conscious alignment with the melody and the harmony being performed at that time, even if it's only for a few moments during a ritual or otherwise kind of mindful moments. It's kind of a choosing to enter into the song that's softly playing in the background. This being the full moon, let's start with the major themes of where the sun is as well as where the moon is. Now, just as a reminder, the sun is generally representative of our conscious self, our sense of ego. And right now, like I mentioned, sun is in the sign of Aquarius. And some keywords for Aquarius would be innovation, rebellion, thinking outside the box. This is a very progressive and humanitarian focused sign of the zodiac. It's also indicative of open-mindedness and open-mindedness specifically to the evolution of key concepts. Oh, Mr. Man. This is a very creative energy, and this is a fixed air sign. So now I want to talk a little bit about the archetype of the sign of Aquarius, because this archetype is known as the water bearer. And of course, it starts with the word aqua. So a lot of people do think of this as being sorry, I think you could probably see my cat's tail. I think a lot of people might initially think that this is a water sign, but it is actually an air sign known as the water bearer. So it is kind of a sign that speaks to being in service to something bigger, because you are bringing and having a thing available for others. So like I said, it is a humanitarian kind of sign. And yeah, so opposite that, like I said, we have the moon. And the moon is representative of our less conscious self, or our emotional and our intuitive self. And right now, the moon is in the sign of Leo. So some keywords for Leo are, well, hello, are generosity, altruism, self-confidence, leadership, strength. This is also a very creative energy, but in addition to that, it's very primal. Whereas I feel like the energy of Aquarius is very heady and disembodied in some ways. The energy of Leo is very embodied. And the archetype for Leo is, of course, the lion. So, what do we think about when we think of lions? They're sort of indicative of great leadership and majesty. And although they are an apex predator, they have a high degree of grace. So, one theme that you may see coming up for yourself during this lunation is perhaps a conflict arising or a point of tension being highlighted between that external sense of ego and how we want to think outside the box and how we want to be rebellious and change the status quo and be innovative, as well as that sort of internal mindset of how do we do that in a way that is generous and altruistic and brings a sense of leadership and self-confidence and self-awareness to the process. Now, some other astrological themes are we have the Pluto just moved into the sign of Aquarius. And this is notable because Pluto only enters Aquarius something like every 250 years. So it will be in the sign of Aquarius until 2044. And Pluto is the planet that represents death, birth, transformation. So really, really big themes. And like I said, it just moved into that sign of Aquarius. So there's a lot of transformation, breaking things down for the purpose of building something greater. And that's going to become more and more a global theme now that we have Pluto in that sign of Aquarius. Now, we also have both the sun and the moon are squaring Jupiter in Taurus. So like I said, with the sun and the moon being opposite one another in the sky, that is 180 degrees. So in between them at 90 degrees to each is where we currently have Jupiter sitting in Taurus. So squares just reveal or indicate that there is a 90-degree angle between the planets in question. And that can sort of point out certain challenges or obstacles or sort of conflicts that there may be between those two energies. So what do we have here? We have Jupiter, which is the energy of expansion, the energy of growth, the energy of good fortune. It's a very religious, spiritual, or an energy that's good for philosophical musings, and that's being flavored by Taurus, which Taurus is fixed earth. That's our appreciation of beauty and our appreciation of the sensual pleasures as in of the senses. So that would be fine food, the way that we like to create our home environment around us, perhaps the textures that we like to have in our clothing, and sort of very sensory grounded things like that. Now, since they're both being squared since it's being squared by both the sun, which is our sense of ego and self in Aquarius, again, breakthrough, innovation, changing the status quo, as well as squaring the moon, our emotional and internal sense of self that is less conscious in Leo, which is leadership and self-confidence. This could show up as a new awareness of the things that we are doing or perhaps not doing that are holding ourselves back from being the best beneficent leader of our own lives. So this could highlight changing things that no longer fit, or sort of like applying a little bit of pressure to those, and for the purpose of asking us to fully step in and own how we want our lives to be lived. Now, finally, we also have Mercury in Capricorn, which is conjunct with Mars in Capricorn. So Capricorn being cardinal Earth. And conjunct just means that they're close to one another in the sky, which is why they are both in the sign of Capricorn here. So this tends to merge and amplify the energy of both. So we've got, on the one hand, we've got Mercury, which is talking, communication, teaching and learning, as well as technology. And then we also have Mars, which is drive, initiative, will, and that thing that sort of urges us towards action. And those are both falling in the sign of Capricorn, which is perseverance and patience, putting in the work. It's very methodical, warm, friendly, yet sort of cautious and serious kind of energy. So this would be a great time to talk about your plans. As we're seeing both of these energies being amplified right now, this is kind of an opportunity to maybe get things a little bit more clear. And so, like, talking about your plans and fleshing out the next practical steps to take in meeting your goals. And these may be goals that you either set during the new moon intention time or otherwise larger goals. This can help us to sort of clarify things that may be a little bit murky. When we talk to people, the very act of interacting with an idea in a verbal way rather than just internally thinking about it changes the way that we interact with those concepts. So, of course, if we're talking to another person, then in addition to us sort of looking at it differently just because we're cognating about it differently, also, of course, the feedback of another person could bring new insights. I will say, though, that it doesn't even necessarily have to be talking with another person. Sometimes I find, like I said, simply just the act of verbalizing things and saying them out loud will help me get a little bit of a perspective shift, a little bit additional clarity. So whether you're talking to yourself or talking to other friends and family members, this would be a great time to allow your words to inspire action or allow your actions as described by words to be clarified a little bit further. Next, we're going to take a quick look at the numerology. And like I said, the date for this new moon is January 25th, 2024. And if we add up all of those numbers, we get 16, which of course reduces to the single digit number of 7. And 7 is the number of mysticism, intuition, truth, and creativity on a much more spiritual level. This is looking deep and finding the wisdom within the thing. So looking deep, finding wisdom, those are both very common elements to that deeply spiritual number of 7. So what do we see? We put all of this information together and we've got that this full moon is really an opportunity to gain some clarity and insight about some pretty big themes in our lives. Transformation coming up, communication coming up, teaching and learning coming up. The way that we incorporate that into our actual daily lives and ground that in the way things manifest around ourselves every single day. So it is, of course, as with all full moons, a real possibility to gain some additional insight. And having said that, we are going to next dive into the pick a card tarot readings. All right, and welcome to the readings portion of this video, and there will be 3 to choose from. You can choose 1, you can choose 2, or you can choose all 3. And the theme of these readings will be messages for you to hear at this time of the full wolf moon. As you can see in the inset photo below, there are 3 different crystals that we have for tokens. And the first one for reading 1 is fluorite. And this is a lovely piece of fluorite. Kind of hard to tell with this camera, but there are just these beautiful layers and striations, and it really is just quite a lovely piece of fluorite. So that will be reading 1. And then for reading 2 here, this is a chunk of beautiful crystally rose quartz. So that will be for reading 2. And then for reading 3, we have this other piece of quartz. This is just clear quartz. I call this one rainbow quartz because it has so many occlusions, I think they're called, within the structure of this crystal here that when it catches the light right, it just looks like there's a ton of little rainbows in there. So I call it rainbow quartz. I don't know what it's actually called aside of just being crystal quartz. But anyhow, those are your 3 to choose from. And again, you may choose 1, 2, or all 3. That is entirely up to you. And having said that, we're going to dive right in. Oh, but wait, before I do that, as always, with all of my readings, please don't forget to take what resonates and leave the rest. And now, having given that disclaimer, we're going to just dive right into reading 1. Hello, magical people. If you selected reading one, which is uh, accompanied by this beautiful yellow fluorite as a token, then this is going to be your full moon reading. I think the squirrels just knocked something over on my porch, so if you heard that small bang in the background, then my apologies. So group one, let's just dive right into it. We have here, as per usual, a combination of tarot cards and oracle cards. Ooh, I like it. The first card we have is Catching Your Breath. Then we have Coyote Spirit, Trust in Divine Detours. Interesting. Okay. We also have here, Show the World the Real You, Full Moon in Aquarius. And that is interesting. This is actually a full moon in Leo because the moon is in Leo, but right now the sun is in Aquarius. So I think it's pretty cool that that sign of Aquarius and that innovation sort of breaking down the status quo is coming up for you again. We also have an oracle card of Grieve. Oh, group one, this is so interesting. I'm definitely seeing a story come together here for you. And now we have a bunch of tarot cards. So we have the Empress. We have the Ten of Earth. We have the Two of Pentacles. We also have the Five of Swords. We have the Seven of Visions, otherwise known as Seven of Cups. We have the Six of Challenges, otherwise known as the Six of Swords. And then we have, oh, fascinating, we have the Emperor. We have both the Emperor and the Empress. And we have Ten of Earth again, Ten of Pentacles. So that is really, really interesting. Okay, so the first thing, I feel like especially with these oracle cards that came out at the onset, Catch Your Breath, Trust in Divine Detours, Show the World the Real You, and Grieve. I feel like those four things are telling the story of there having been a recent shakeup in some way. Almost like you were sort of laying the plans, or maybe it was even just the intentions set during the last new moon, and you thought you were going down a certain pathway, but then things happened and this detours showed up and kind of threw you off course a little bit, and that may have led to some disappointment. It may have and I wonder if with the Show the Real You, that if when that disappointment came up, you felt sort of obligated in some way to sort of repress that grief or that disappointment, rather than letting that emotion authentically come out. So that's pretty interesting stuff. I also feel like group one here, with this Ten of Pentacles, the Ten of Earth coming up twice, I feel like there's a real opportunity during this full moon for you to get some clarity about the ideal life that you really do want to build for yourself and how you really want that to look, and really make some decisions about how you could sort of shift your approach to get closer to the way you want things to be. Pardon me. I feel like with this Two of Pentacles and this Five of Swords coming up here, there may have been something that came up during this time, kind of hearkening back to what I was talking about with those oracle cards. It's almost like there was a decision to be made and there was an argument that ensued, and not necessarily like a gigantic argument or a gigantic disagreement or anything like that, but there was some sort of conflict that was sort of maybe impacting a choice that you were going to make. And again, it feels like in the last little bit here, there was something that was just really unclear for you and you thought you were going a certain way. And again, with the Seven of Visions, Seven of Cups is kind of all about having a variety of options available to you. And I think it's interesting that it came out with the Six of Swords. So the Six of Swords is kind of like leaving behind our emotional baggage and like taking a trip, which can be literal, but it can also be just a sort of like metaphorical, like moving yourself beyond something that you maybe thought was once for you, but you have recently discovered is not. So I think here this is kind of, I don't know, I wonder group one if like I said, this could be either pretty big themes or it could be more subtle themes. I feel like with both the Emperor and the Empress coming in here, there's a big ask for returning balance to a thing. So, that kind of brings us back to where we started with that initial oracle card of catching your breath. So it kind of feels like maybe things have been like you thought you had one plan, then the rug got pulled out from under you, or circumstances or material circumstances in some way changed. That sort of brought up some feelings in some ways. And maybe even those feelings was just like confusion and not really like knowing which way to go. But it feels like there was an unsettling event in one way or another. Like you kind of thought you were going this way, then you ended up going this way, caused some feelings, and now the big ask is to be like, all right, well, if everything happens for us and not to us, then there must be a reason why what you initially thought was going to be your path is no longer available to you. So kind of like taking a step back from it and sort of embodying that Empress and Emperor energy of being in balance and being the natural harmonious countertypes to one another. I kind of think as the Emperor and the Empress as like the good parents. You know what I mean? Like this is like responsible reparenting of the self, letting yourself have the feelings that you want to have, letting go of this path that is no longer available to you, while at the same time recognizing that you've got this Ten of Pentacles energy coming up twice. And Ten of Pentacles energy really is happy home, happy heart, happy life, a fulfilling circumstance in all of the material ways that one would expect. So being very satisfied with your day-to-day experience. So maybe you need to hear this group one, my fluorite friends, but whatever it was that didn't work out in the way you were initially thinking it was going to work out, even though that may feel like a detour and like you are now being sort of forced or encouraged to go down this other path that you hadn't previously been anticipating. Again, it's just really about recognizing that that detour is divine and that it is providing a new path available to you that is going to give you greater opportunity to work towards your best and highest good. So, my magical friends, I hope you found that helpful. I hope you found it encouraging in any way. If you'd like to share your story with me, please do leave a comment below. I always love to hear from you. And of course, above all, don't forget to be kind and gentle with yourselves, and I will see you soon. Hello, group 2. If you selected this beautiful, glittery little chunk of rose quartz, then this is going to be your full moon reading. So we have, as per usual, a combination of oracle cards and tarot cards. So let's see what we got here. Ooh, we have one, make a decision. We also have, hummingbird spirit, be here now. Interesting. Okay. For a moon card, we have a win-win outcome is forecast, and that is full moon in Libra. Love it. Love it. And we also have trust. Beautiful. Okay, and for tarot cards, we have the King of Earth, which is otherwise known as the King of Pentacles. We also have the Love card, otherwise known as Lovers. We have the Justice card and the Queen of Wands. We have the Devil card, which in this deck is called the Liar, as well as the Child of Challenges, which is the Page of Swords. And finally, we have the King of Wands and the Page of Pentacles. Okay, so interesting. First thing that I'm seeing here is that we've got 3 higher royalty cards. We've got 2 kings, we've got 1 queen, and we also have 2 pages. So I feel like there is a lot of, this is interesting, group two. I feel like, remember how during the introduction when I was talking about like talking and communicating and teaching and learning, I feel like for you during this full moon time, there's going to be a real opportunity. Like a lot of people around you are going to have messages for you, if that makes sense. And what I mean by that is that something that you have been sort of like thinking about or like needing to make a decision about in terms of next steps for your life to bring you towards a greater degree of satisfaction with your life. I feel like, there are going to be a lot of different people around you who are going to be bringing you wisdom. And that doesn't necessarily mean, okay, let me say that again. What I don't mean is that a singular person or even several singular people are going to have your answers for you. That is not what I mean. What I mean is that conversations that you have with other people are going to inherently bring you pieces of wisdom that will allow you to make your own decisions better. And like I said, there's a lot of people showing up here. So I feel like there's going to be a lot of different communications. And I feel like with this love card, with this lovers card, as well as with the trust card, I really think this is going to be a situation of where the people that are already within your like circle of trust, like people that are already pretty close to you, that you already feel a certain amount of emotional intimacy, are likely going to be the ones who are bringing you that bringing you those messages. And I'm just noticing as I'm looking in the cards, especially since we're talking about how we've got the moon in Leo here, that there are a lot of lions showing up on this card. We have two showing up on the Queen of Wands card. We have one showing up on a King of Wands card. Of course, we also have the one that shows up on the Lovers card. And does this have a lion on it too? There's a lot going on in this picture, but I'm not sure. There is not a lion, but there are a couple of leopards. So, okay, so big cats. Lots of big cats. But again, with the lions, they sort of indicate generosity and altruism and self-leadership and self-assurance. Like you just imagine what a lion is like when they're just sort of like moving through their space. There's a looseness and a fluidness and a ownership of that sort of self energy. Now, I do want to say that I think it is interesting that we have the Devil card showing up here. And it's interesting furthermore, because of the way that I laid down all of the cards, it kind of looks like we have a whole bunch of people encircling the liar, the Devil card. So I feel like one of the reasons... yep. I feel like one of the reasons why that card came out is because it is to remind you, and this is kind of reiterating a point I made a minute ago, but like your answers are not going to come from other people. I mean, you could take other people's answers as your own, sure, but why would you want to? Because that's their answer, or even if it's their answer for you, it's not your answer. So I feel like there are going to be a lot of messages that are coming in to you through other people, but this is also calling on you to increase your level of discernment and not just take everything as equally valid in some way. And this is kind of pointing to that hummingbird spirit of being here now, really paying attention in the moment. And like, here's what I've noticed about conversations sometimes is that if you're specifically having a conversation with a person to sort of for the purpose of like clarifying your own understanding of things through that conversation, then if you are able to pay attention and be pretty present during that conversation, then when things that are true or applicable to you occur, they do resonate. Like you can actually, it's not really like a feeling like a, you know, like physical sensation type feeling, but there is a sense of rightness. But it is subtle because most energies are quite subtle at the end of the day. And so it is kind of like asking you to uh, be more present to not only the information that is coming into you at this time, but also to your responses and your subtle reactions to the information and messages that are coming in at this time. And your reactions and interactions with that information are in and of themselves going to be very informative. I also feel like with this Justice card coming up here, as well as with this Trust card coming up here, I feel like there really is an opportunity for you here, group two, to gain some clarity and like let the scales fall from your eyes in a certain way so that then you can have justice. And what is justice? Justice is, a balancing of the scales. Sometimes that balance is between mercy and compassion on the one side and, sort of accountability on the other side. So maybe this is with regards to yourself. I kind of feel like in some ways, like maybe, oh, and I just noticed that we also have, speaking of scales, we have this full moon card, which is the full moon in Libra, and the Justice card is the card of the sign of Libra. So maybe there's a Libra person or you're a Libra yourself. But I feel like, this is going to bring light to the fact that not only can you trust yourself, but if you don't yet authentically feel like you can trust yourself, then this exercise of engaging with other people and sort of deciding what answers to incorporate into your own reality and what things don't actually suit you, that is going to be an act of discernment, a practice of discernment, and again, giving yourself future evidence that you can in fact trust yourself. So I feel like in some ways this is really like laying the groundwork for something pretty big. And I am very curious about what this decision is that is to be made. But I do feel like group two, that this really is asking on you to trust yourself. And just one more thing about this trust card. I think it's also interesting that the protagonist in this illustration is upside down. So I feel like, again, with the Libra and with the scales, there is a restoration of balance. So maybe there's something like you used to trust yourself and now you're relearning that you are capable of holding your own trust. So, my magical friends, I hope that was helpful. I hope you found something of value in it. Oh, Mr. Man coming into the frame, giving you a little butt view. So sorry about that. I hope you found this helpful. I hope you found it interesting. And above all, please don't forget to be kind and gentle with yourselves. And I will see you soon. Hello, group three. If you selected this beautiful piece of clear quartz that I call rainbow quartz because it's got a bazillion tiny little rainbows that live inside, then this is going to be your reading. And as per usual, this is going to be a combination of tarot and oracle cards. So let's get your full moon reading going. The first thing we have is perfect setting. Auspicious. We also have Beaver Spirit, laying a solid foundation. Ooh, I like this. Okay, further, we have conclusions are within reach. Full moon eclipse. And you know what's interesting is of the 3 readings that I've done, all 3 of the moon cards that I pulled were full moon cards. There was full moon in Aquarius, full moon in Libra, and now we have the full moon eclipse. That is just pretty cool. Let's see. Also, we have connect. as an oracle card. And now let's see what we've got for tarot cards. Ooh, nice. We've got the Ace of Earth, which is otherwise known as the Ace of Pentacles. We have the Messenger of Water, which is known as the, oh wait, which one is Messenger? Messenger. Yes, that is the Page of Cups. Oh, nice. Oh, beautiful. Oh, group 2. Or I'm sorry, group 3 rather. We have the Star card. We have the Wheel of Fortune card. We have the Weaver of Visions, which is otherwise known as the Queen of Cups. We also have the Weaver of Challenges, known as the Queen of Swords, the Seven of Pentacles, and the Ten of Cups. Oh, my goodness, group 3. This is beautiful. Okay, so where do I want to start? I guess I want to start at the beginning. So, first of all, perfect setting, laying a foundation, laying a solid foundation, and the Ace of Earth. The Ace of Earth or Ace of Pentacles, is a card of a new material opportunity in some way, or a new material circumstance in some way. So this is an actual like new thing changing and coming in. And I feel like that, along with the perfect setting and the laying a solid foundation, I feel like group 3, this new moon is going to, ooh, I'm sorry, my cat just is messing around with all of the things I have here that I don't want him to mess around with, because they're, dude, no, you can't be over there. Come here. Come here. Come here. You are such a monster. Okay, so we have here, it does seem as though this new moon is going to give you lots of new clarity around something new. It's like there's this feeling of like setting the stage, and actually what sort of came into mind was, okay, so in this one here we have perfect setting, and it's this beautiful landscape that's being sort of like created by this person, and we had that immediately followed by laying the solid foundation. And what kind of came into mind is like, okay, well, now you've picked the plan, or you've picked the plot of land, and now it's time to get busy with actually starting to build your house. And that doesn't necessarily mean physically, or literally, but it can also just be metaphorically, like, you know, your house being representative of your life. So we also have here this Star card, and I think this is pretty cool because the Star card is all about like wish fulfillment. This is sort of like literally wishing on a star, knowing that the potential for that wish to come true is very fucking real. And also that followed up by this Wheel of Fortune card here. I kind of feel like there's an element of chance here. And what's kind of neat is I see this connect card showing up too. And while of course it can be, of course, connecting with another person, I feel like this is more about connecting with the aspect of yourself that really wants to reach towards the stars, that really, really does have big dreams, and allowing yourself to own that a little bit more. And the reason why I say that is because I feel like we've got a couple of queens showing up here. So there's this indication of mastery, right? And having like, we have both the Queen of Cups, which is like the emotional, like having an understanding of what your emotional drives are. We also have the Queen of Swords. So there's like an understanding how you tick, and understanding those two aspects of the self can be very illuminating in and of themselves. And I feel like having these both show up for you as like sort of supportive energies, again, sort of being followed up here by this Ten of Cups, which is again just kind of like reinforcing this star energy. So I feel like there really is, oh, and I forgot here, there's also the Seven of Pentacles showing up. Mr. Man, you just do not always need to be the center of attention, honey. But we have the Seven of Pentacles showing up, and the Seven of Pentacles is actually like doing the work. Again, kind of going back to that sort of Capricorn energy, and like putting in, like having some perseverance, having some patience, and doing the like step after step after step of doing the work to build the life that you actually most want to live. So going back here to this, conclusions are within reach. I think this is really interesting because it's like in some ways it's like there's this is very like opening moves kind of energy, like you're getting ready to paint the landscape yourself, and so there's like these decisions that are being made, and it's like all very like I said, like opening moves kind of energy. But we also have this conclusions are within reach, and I don't feel like this is the energy of like everything is decided and thy will be done sort of thing. I feel like this is asking you to give yourself permission, actually really give yourself permission to have those dreams, to connect with your most internal sense of self, maybe even the inner child, and ask your internal self, honey, what do you really want? What do we really want? What do we really want out of this life? What are we really valuing? And it's not like you have to have all of the details filled in. Like this is really just more about, like I said, laying the foundation and those opening moves of the game. But it's like there's a promise, there's a promise here, and it's not saying that it will be, but it is very, very firmly saying that it's all of the pieces are there for you to move towards that 10 of Cups energy. And 10 of Cups energy is just overflowing emotional joy, satisfaction, and being in a place of sharing with others. So it's really really beautiful, really harmonious energy, and that is like not only available to you, but you are being encouraged to reach for it, to really, really reach for it. Reach for that star energy and make that yours. So magical friends, I hope you found this helpful. I hope you found it interesting. Above all else, don't forget to be kind and gentle with yourself, and I will see you soon. Hey, magical people. Thank you so much for sticking around for this last part. And not sure if you remember, but during the new moon video a couple of weeks ago, I showed you a leather bag that I'd been working on that was about 90% done. And it is now completely finished, and I just wanted to share it with you. So here it is. It is completely done, and I am very pleased with the way it came out. Mr. Man is, as always, trying to become head of the show. And please don't knock over my computer, dude. That would be so unfair. But yeah, so I got it all finished. I got the straps all done for the front. And I am very pleased with it. I did have this one moment. I thought I was going to die. I mean, not literally, but I did almost have a little bit of a panic attack because I was just putting on the final layer of the conditioner, which is, just kind of like makes it shiny and makes it soft. And I spilled it all over the place, all over the inside, which you could still see a little bit of how the color is different. What I ended up doing is just pretty much applying that same conditioner to the rest of the inside, and whatever. I wasn't expecting everything to be perfect anyhow, and I kind of like that when a bag is handmade, it does have sort of unique things that will never show up again. So I'm just chalking that all up as being part of the character of this finished product. But yeah, I just wanted to show it to you. I haven't used it yet in any real way, but I just finished it last night. But we have our adjustable strap here. So there we go. So if you want to wear it crosswise, you can. Very nice, very nice. And if you want to just wear it over a shoulder, then that is certainly an option as well. So I think it came out really great. I think it's very nice looking. I think I will probably go ahead and make another one that is of similar size, but maybe out of the black leather. And I'm not sure that I will do again the zipper with the zipper pouch and the lining again, because that really did add a ton of work and a ton of time to this project. So I think maybe in the interest of getting a second bag done, I will skip that step and see how I feel about the finished product once it doesn't have that available as an option. So anyhow, I just wanted to show you again that like how taking things just that last few steps from 90% done to 100% done really does have a pretty major impact on, you know, those last few steps make a big difference, right? So anyhow, that's it so much. Thank you so much, magical friends, for sticking around for that awkward little sharing. You know, I mean, if I'm going to do it, it's going to be earnest. It's going to be awkward. That's kind of my brand. As always, don't forget to be kind and gentle with yourselves. Well, Mr. Man knocks things off the table, and I will see you soon. Peace.